Hello, YouTubers, and welcome back to another episode of The Grandstand here on the Hot Picture Education Network YouTube channel. I'm, as always, your host, your other Hot Patriot. And for today's episode, we're going to talk about the weird algorithm shift that has occurred on Twitter/X in the past, 40 to 48 hours, is what it is. And what I mean by that is, so about a day and a half ago, give or take now, maybe a little bit longer than that's what it is, I started noticing a weird change when I went to Twitter/X is what it is. And what I mean by that is usually if you'll go on there, you'll go to the website, you'll click on the link to it and stuff like that, it'll load up the page. And then most of the time what it's supposed to be is the first thing you're gonna see is to an account you're subscribed to, and then another account you're subscribed to, and it's about maybe 4 to 7 of these, give or take, maybe 10 at most, honestly, I would usually say. And then maybe there'll be a random post in there that was either paid engagement, or, because I'm not sure exactly what the terms that would be, I'm guessing that's what it would be, honestly. Or it'd be paid promotions or something like that, where it's some politician basically, paying these companies off to push their shit higher and stuff like that, when there's no reason for it to be higher than that's what it is. And that's usually one of these things you don't want to see anyways, what it is there. Because it's some Democrat calling some bullshit about oh, we're trying to stop government shutdowns, and yet we're not actually coming to the fucking table to prevent these things, what it is. So it's very fucking annoying, but either way, the thing I've noticed in the past day and a half to 2 days now is what it is it seems like every time I go on there now, instead of the first or even the second or third for that matter, posts that are in my feed now being from the channels I'm subscribed to is what it is. It is all these weird leftist posts where it is nothing more than a bunch of anti-Charlie Kirk rhetoric, basically. And that's another thing I realized too, during this past 48 hours, is with the exception of politicians bitching about government shutdowns now, almost every post I've seen in my feed now has something to do with Charlie Kirk, is what it is, as if there's nothing else going on in the world right now. It's fucking weird. It's super fucking suspect in general is what it is. And I think the thing that bothers me the most about the whole thing is obviously not, the Charlie Kirk post, because obviously, this people are talking about this because, it was really assassinated a couple days ago, that's what it was. What bothers me is that you have so much opposing engagement, basically what it is there, when it shouldn't even be shown up on my feed. And the thing is, it would be one thing if I posted, I had gone to somebody's feed or whatever the case be, and clicked on something and told them to go fuck themselves or whatever because of what they're saying about the whole thing. I could see it being okay, we're gonna do a couple more from this person, or someone related to them, basically is what it is there or something. But not when you would have 10 or 20 of them. That's what it is. Because I noticed, and I don't know if this happened right after I did this or not, because it was 2 days ago, I started calling a bunch of politicians that were showing my feed what it was there, because they were basically pushing the whole BS narrative and stuff like that, and trying to act like they have fucking any kind of moral high ground to stand on when they don't at all, is what it is. And that's the thing people need to realize, dude, because I was watching one earlier today, and it was this chick talking about how she's I think she's currently in college or something like that, doing a historian degree or something, and was talking about the second event, this being the first event, and sparking out about the second event or whatever the case be. And it's always the people that are trying to unify that are the ones that are the victims or something. That's basically what she's trying to play it, is what it is. Even though it's the complete opposite of that in this case, where the ones that are supposedly falsely calling for unity is what it is, are all these fucking Democrats that literally kicked up this rhetoric and this violence to the point that we've gotten to this point in history right now. And then secondarily, you have all these Democrats out there, all these leftist types, etc. out there, that are just refusing to take the fucking L, is what it is. This guy can be more than proven to have been one of you left-wing fucking nut jobs. Just fucking admit the shit. Just be hey, this is not what I subscribe to. This is not what I'm about, etc., etc. But that's the problem. People won't do that stuff with this dude. Because why? Because they have no fucking soul. They have no fucking morals. They have nothing. They are demonically fucking evil, is what it is. And as soon as they would even think about doing an apology of any kind, to them it's just weakness at that point. And the fact of the matter is that when you are demonically evil like that, it's not weakness. It's just fucking demonic evil is what it is. Because all you're doing is like kicking the can down the road is what it is. And then of course they're trying to make all kinds of BS narratives. Oh, it was Mega on Mega, and fucking now it's some Groiper dude or whatever the case be, and like trying to tie to Nick Fuentes and shit like that. And it's so fucking retarded is what it is, dude. Like, these people are all the biggest dumb motherfuckers I've ever seen in my entire life, honestly, dude. Like, they're the stupidest people on earth right now is what it is, honestly. And like I said, like it's like the timeline of stupidity at that point is what it is, really. And I'm getting real sick and tired of it personally. But like I said, if you go to, Twitter there, or X, or we're gonna call it that point, it seems to me like every time I go on there now for the network account, it's literally just like lefty posts is what it is right there. So I don't know if somebody at the company did like some weird algorithm shift in the past couple of days to where they're like trying to start a civil war in this country, or they're like trying to start like civil unrest basically what it is or something. And so they're basically like pushing this shit where it's like, instead of people seeing a bunch of lefty content when they're lefties, and like a bunch of right wing people seeing like right wing content, it's like the opposite now. It's like they basically flip the switch to what it is there or something like that, to switch to the opposite of feeds or something like that's what it is there or something. So I don't know, but it's like it's really fucking annoying. And then of course you got all these black supremacists out there who are also trying to make this crap about themselves too, which is absolutely disgusting. And then you got all these fucking retards that are basically pushing the false narrative of, oh, Kirk's assassin was fucking some straight white cis fucking male Republican bullshit and all that other crap. And it's like, none of these things are fucking true in most cases. And secondarily, for those who don't know about the term cis, it's actually a fucking literal slur against straight people is what it is. I believe it is, I forget if it's Latin or like one of those kind of old languages like that. But it derives from like one of those old languages like that. And it's basically a sexual slur against straight people is what it is there. And of course, these leftists love to use that shit because they're a bunch of fucking scumbag pieces of shit is what it is, dude. So I don't know, it's just sad in general. But yeah, like I'm getting to the point right now where like, as I said a couple of days ago, like I was totally against Clay Higgins and the that censorship bill he's trying to push through right now, because obviously I see like the outcome of it or whatever, dude. But like at the same time, like I'm just like, you know what? Fuck these leftists. Like cancel them all at this point, dude. Like kick them all off fucking social media sites is what it is then. And at least social media will be better off than after the fact is what it is then or something. But I don't know. I think I'm just pissed as what it is right now about the whole thing. And like I said, I think I'm more pissed because I'm kind of being able to see like the manipulation being used is what it is here. And it could be the autism that's allowing me to see this, I don't know. Or it could just be me seeing this shit so long in my lifetime and being 40 years old now and seeing this divisionist crap for the past like 26 to 28 years of my life, basically since I was like 12. Then I'm able to like see past it and like see through the fog of war, basically what it is there. So I don't know. It's just weird. But on that note, I am going to go to X now. We're going to do this in real time actually, because I want to see exactly when I pop this up if in fact it does go straight to some leftist stuff again, or if it does go back to one of my things what it is. And the reason I say this obviously is because if it does go back to more of my subscription basis what it is now, of the accounts I'm subscribed to on that site, under the networks page, it would be most likely because in the last like 12 hours or so, maybe 14 hours or so, give or take, was last night, like midnight to like 1 a.m. or whatever it was there, give or take, that I was literally going through and just like being like, yeah, posts is irrelevant to me, posts is irrelevant to me, posts is irrelevant to me. It was all these leftist posts that were like in the feed at the time, whatever. So that might have changed it, I don't know, but like it's just weird though that like before that there was just like I would say, I think it was probably like if I threw a timeline, there was maybe like 2-3 posts at most out of like 50 that were from accounts that the network's page is actually subscribed to. There's what it is. And yet meanwhile you had like the other 47 or something all be like these leftists, like anti-Charlie Kirk, anti-Republican, anti-MAGA, pro-leftist bullshit, basically is what it is there. So But anyway, like I said, I want to see if this has changed or not right now, especially me talking about it now because, we all know that the AI out there is going to be listening in and like the phones and everything like that, so maybe they will change it for all I know. But yeah, so we'll start out on the base page here and we'll go straight to X's videos right now. And let's go ahead and shoot this in real time then. Okay, so it might have changed then. So we got this is actually one of the ones I am sub to, if I'm not mistaken here. Or the account sub to. This chick I am not though. Yeah, and of course this woman's pushing the false narrative of 64% of X accounts are actually bots. Not true at all. I'm not subscribed to this chick, I believe. See, lesbian woman says she's converting to Islam because Christianity is the most evil religion and based on fear, unlike Islam, which is based on love. Good God, these people are stupid. I'm going to go ahead and reshare that, though, because of how dumb it is. Okay, not subscribed to Warren. So that's one. Not subscribed to this moron. So that's another one. Not subscribed to this person. Not subscribed to this idiot. I think I have posted some of these meme on libs things before. I don't think we're sub to him, knows what it is. What is this crazy bitch saying now? Don't feel bad for him, don't feel bad for his wife. Tolerant left at college campus, jumping at opportunity for her voice to be heard. Yeah, being anti-Charlie Kirk basically is what it is there. Actually, I saw a good one from Salty Cracker from last night. He was talking about, what do you call it now? There was some piece of shit at the University of Nebraska or something like that who legitimately had made up like this bullshit little sign where he basically went to like a Walmart and paid like $10 or $15 for a tray table, and then basically got a bunch of paper and printed off the same thing on the paper is what it is, and the paper basically read Charlie Kirk deserved is what it was, and he put it up there as it was like some change my mind bullshit or whatever, and then some dude came along and literally just took the whole thing and threw it in a fucking fountain behind this idiot. So yeah, pretty good. But yeah, that old man was lucky he wasn't in Idaho at that Capitol vigil for Charlie Kirk, dude. He's probably got his ass kicked at that point then too, is what it is. Along with that guy in the scooter that was saying fuck Charlie Kirk. So I'm not saying it's right that people are doing that, obviously, but like I understand like the emotion and like just like the frustration with these fucking people is what it is, dude, because like I'm like if this is like where like my pop off is, I'm like probably about right here right now is what it is with these people. To where like a couple more things could basically kick me up to the point where I just want to throw hands, basically is what it is there. So, and that's why, you got to take these breaks from social media. That's why you got to take these breaks from just these fucking retards whose idiotic opinions don't matter is what it is, dude. And that's what I got to realize. That's what I'm starting to realize with my autism and stuff like that is that if I don't do that, I will drive myself insane. And I think there's a lot of people out there that are under the age of, 30 basically in this country that don't get that. They don't understand that you have to get out. You have to, as a lot of people love to say, touch grass. I hate that fucking term, by the way. I don't know why it is. Like, it's one of those things, like, just hearing the term, like, it sounds like idiotic basically to me because you could just say go outside, And mostly the reason I think I hate the touch grass thing is because when you look at a lot of these like leftist orgs that are anti-gun or like the socialist stuff that are like they just want gun control for themselves. They just want control, but they want to be the ones controlling the guns that is there. It's these douchebags that always need to use that fucking terminology, and that's why I think I hate it so much what it is because I've basically equated it to basically being a leftist term at this point, honestly. And like I said, like they could easily just say go outside and get some fresh air or something like that. Like that's what I would prefer to. Say if I'm going to do something is what it is, which I have done that in the last couple of days now is what it is, and I'm definitely feeling good right now is what it is. And I just realized I need to take my vitamin D pill right now. I'm sitting here talking about it and thinking about it. I got my vitamin D3 that my aunt gave me because my doctor forgot to prescribe me some stuff, so I need to go talk to him in a couple weeks here with my appointment up there and be like, hey, dude, you never did like rip my prescription then, the past 6 months, so. And then if he asked me about me taking vitamin D, I'm like, yeah, just taking some over-the-counter stuff. My aunt gave me what it was then. I tried the lesser version. So. Which really, truthfully, at my age and other people that are close to my age, what it is, the two things you should be taking daily should be like a vitamin D capsule like that, but it should also be like a multivitamin too, for that matter, because those are tend to relegate your levels is what it is there of the various nutrition stuff you may be lacking and whatnot, because your body just can't absorb it the way it used to when you were 10, 15, 20 years old is what it is there. So it sucks getting old, but at the same time, like, it's one of those situations where you're better off to know that you need to take these things and just basically have a regimen is what it is. And then, of course, when you get up there in much older ages and stuff like that, I remember when my uncle was still alive about 5 years ago now, and actually I guess maybe 6, because we didn't really talk much in 2020 because of the lockdowns and stuff like that, which really pisses me off to this day that I didn't just say, no, you know what, fuck it, it's all fear-mongering, let's hang out, basically. And because he ended up dying in 2021 from the COVID death shots is what it is. And I will never let that go, by the way, because that man was like a father to me. Just like I'll never let my mom's death go because of the same exact reason. And that's what I don't understand. Like, so many people are not calling for crimes against humanity trials for these fucking people that are behind this stuff, dude. Whether it be, and that's another thing too, by the way. You had like pieces of shit like Kathy Hunkle yesterday, who were out there being all like, "Oh, we need to tone down the political violence." Like, bitch, you literally fucking genocided like, what was it, like 5 million people or something like that in New York City as lieutenant governor in 2020 under Andrew Cuomo. You both should be the first in the fucking line for crimes against humanity trials at this point, with Gavin Newsom's ass being third in line at that point is what it is, for the same exact fucking reason for killing a bunch of Californians the same way as what it is there. Like, you people need to be in a fucking federal prison cell right now is what it is. It's absolutely disgusting and ridiculous that you are walking free right now, and not only walking free, but holding political power currently is what it is now. So, yeah. Like, that's kind of shit that pisses me off personally is there. But anyway, the entire point of the matter is, though, is that when you start looking at things and you start to, understand that, like, certain things need to be done and whatnot, that's when you actually have to go and do a certain amount of things is what it is there. And like I said, going back to my uncle, 6, 7 years ago now is what it is. That I remember being out at the farm and hanging out with him and stuff like that. And we had stayed overnight is what it was. And I was sitting there at their kitchen table the next morning is what it was. And I look over and he comes out and he grabs this like big ass pill case. It's like this. And it's like, I think it was, I want to say there was like, because I think he was on so many different pills throughout the day is what it was. He had to like have like different spots in ones or whatever, to where like basically what was like that's what it was. Yeah, he was on so many pills that day or whatever, that instead of it being like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, like little cases or whatever, he was basically filling up an entire case for a week for that day to take. And then it was like the next one for the next day, et cetera, et cetera. And it was like a 7-day pill case basically of like 7 days on each one of them is what it was. But like each one of them was like a day's worth of pills basically. And yeah, I just remember him like just dumping like this pill pack out onto the thing. And I'm like, what is all these pills you're taking, bro? Because he was taking like 20 different pills at the time. And he's like, well, this one's a multivitamin, this one's some other like vitamin D kind of thing, whatever the case be. And then he's like, this one's for my blood pressure, this one's for this one's for that. And yeah, it was like a lot of stuff, dude. So, and that's really the problem in general is that, we've had things like that happen where you have these different companies that will put so many Americans on this stuff for so long that they're basically just addicts to the system at that point is what it is. And then you'll have these shills in Congress and Senate right now, like Elizabeth Warren, et cetera, there. And the reason I say Elizabeth Warren by name is what it is, because she's the one that I most well know that does this crap, and is basically her mega donors are a lot of the big pharmaceutical companies, what it is out there. Like, they'll sit there and push, like, big pharma this, big pharma that. And specifically, the reason I bring up Warren, too, for that matter, is last night, because of the whole supposed looming government shutdown bullshit now. This is all a bunch of fucking fear-mongering garbage is what it is, dude. They're going to make the fucking deals what it is and pull some bullshit what it is at some point here in the near future. But yeah, basically, you had her idiotic ass bitching and moaning about Planned Parenthood's closing down because of some federal ruling that was made in favor of Trump when it relates to Planned Parenthood not being funded by taxpayer money anymore is what it is there. And it's like, first of all, it should have never been funded by taxpayer money, you fucking demonic cunt. Number two, that fucking scumbag organization, like 80-something% of their fucking whole entire thing, maybe even 90% at that point, all comes from abortion stuff, dude. They do nothing else besides that, basically. Like, almost all their revenue, almost all their clientele, etc., is fucking abortion. It's literally child murder on demand is what it is there. And that's why, truthfully, we should call them Planned Murderhood at this point, honestly. Because that's what they really are at this point, honestly, dude. So, maybe just Planned Profithood is what it is. Both of them are pretty good, actually. But, so yeah, she was bitching money about, like, coming under those piece of shit buildings shutting down for good, and it's like, good, they should be shut down. They should all be shut down, dude. And then her bitching and moaning about, like, falsely claiming that it's like, oh, like, keep people to get their cancer screenings, all this other stuff like that. It's like, yeah, they don't do that. These places, bitch. Quick fucking lies. It's a mix between abortion or it's, like, trans drug stuff that they're giving people that don't have transgenderism is what it is. Because they're literally prescribing minors, like, trans drugs is what it is, whether it be testosterone or estrogen or anything else for that matter, what it is then. Or, like, the chemical castration pills. Like, I forget what that one's called now. I feel like it starts with a P, but I could be wrong about that one. Maybe it's an M. I know Blair White and Buck Angel talked about it one time when they were doing a cast together, because that's when I found out it actually was like the same drugs they give to pedophiles in prison to castrate them chemically is what it is there. And that's what these sick fucking doctors and medical professionals supposedly. I say supposedly medical professionals because they're not, obviously. They are sick-ass geneticists at that point who are giving underage children these drugs that are going to chemically castrate them and create more generational genocide, what it is there. So, yeah, it's just absolutely sickening what it is. Let's go back to X for a minute, though, and see how many other things in the feed right now are currently things I don't subscribe to here. Okay, so we got this Marco Foster guy. I don't subscribe to him. Gateway Pundit randomly popping up. Idiot Tim Kaine popping up. This one might be because I called him out yesterday is what it is. Don't subscribe to this person. See what this moron said. Some thoughts and truly perfectly. So we're focusing on terrible people still alive and attempting to destroy our nation. Hashtag Dem Voices. See, this is what I'm saying. Like, this is the kind of division of shit right here that's the fucking issue right now, dude. I want to see what they actually put up here on the thing, though. Yeah, I feel like that's the kind of company that's going to go out of business pretty soon is what it is. I don't subscribe to this moron either, by the way. But you can just pop in my fucking feed the last couple of days now. Yeah, and look how this fucking black supremacist sack of shit takes it to anti-whiteism, dude. He's talking about Spencer Cox here, is what it is. This is the governor of Utah. So when he said he was praying it was not us, this white man was praying that it was not a white man. He was praying that the shooter was a black Democrat. Fuck you, dude. Not everything is about your fucking black supremacist ass. Like, we're so sick and tired of your fucking shit, bro. Like, we really fucking are. And I'm to the point right now, like, I'm not even gonna, I'm gonna do two things at this point. I'm actually gonna fucking hit this guy for, what would it be now? It's just violence, yeah, let's just go with general hate is what it is. Let's see. Prohibit others from repeated slurs, traps, and yeah, I would say honestly it was hateful references it would be then. And I'm just gonna completely fucking just block this moron out of my feed completely what it is now. Oh, and then of course the one after that now that's popped up was this fucking retarded piece of shit that calls himself Mega Cult Slayer. Like, this dude is just the biggest leftist cunt ever, basically, is what it is. So, you cannot hate these people enough, bro. Like, for real. Like, they are the complete pieces of shit in society and are not worth ever seeing again. And you got this dumb bitch saying, what is Kyle Rittenhouse known for again? Gee, I don't know, maybe defending himself against a pedophile and a wife beater who were both trying to kill him that night in Kenosha, Wisconsin, while he was literally giving medical aid to a lot of people, including the left side of history at this point. What was Kenosha known for? I don't know, maybe the fact that it had FBI drones over everything, like filming everybody, basically. Maybe the fact that you had the cops in Kenosha there literally forcing the groups to come together, etc., etc. Like, it's just ridiculous. Wait, what are we talking about now? Are you talking about the guy that killed Kirk, or are you talking about somebody else right now? Or are you talking about the Huxler guy? Or are we talking about the guy that did the Antioch shooting? Because I know that dude was like, that guy claimed to be trans, obviously. I mean, it was like some furry person that he was banging or whatever. Okay, so it's Charlie Kirk's killer is what we're talking about here. No, I did not know that information. That apparently his roommate was the boyfriend, and the boyfriend claimed to be transgender. That leaves a lot of credence to stuff, then, if that be the case. That makes a lot of sense there. Makes a lot of sense right there. So, that would also explain the whole trans messaging and Antifa messaging on a lot of the unspent shell casings that were there. So, oh, it was the other guy. Oh, so it was the boyfriend guy that picked up the rifle. Huh. Interesting. That makes sense, given that we never did see. That's what a lot of people were discussing too in the last couple things I've been part of. Is what it is about how we never see, like, we saw the guy jump off the roof, obviously, in the one video, but we never saw the rifle get off the roof. Is what it is. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. That would make total sense to me, honestly. I've thought for a while it's like more than one person involved in it too, because even people were talking about the guy who was the speaking to Charlie Kirk at the time that he was killed. Is what it is. Because the whole line of thought right there and debate that they were having was about like trans people and gun rights and stuff like that. And then it was basically Charlie picking up the mic and being like, yeah, and how many of those are about, like gang violence or whatever in the hood. And like as soon as he said that, it was just like bullet right through his neck is what it did. So, and then of course that moron has since broken his silence. And there was a video I saw here on YouTube a few hours ago where it was that person, I don't know what the guy's name is, offhand or whatever, but he was basically falsely claiming during that debate with Kirk before his death that there was over 5,700 mass shootings in America since 2013. And then, of course, it was CNN lying their asses off and falsely backing up that false narrative, because neither one of these, either that guy nor the news organization, will admit that what they're claiming is mass shootings are, in like 95 to 98% of cases, a bunch of black on black gang violence in the middle of the night is what it is there. Like, and that's exactly what they call school shootings in a lot of cases too. If you look at the Moms Doing Action and every town statistics and stuff like that for so-called school shootings and stuff in this country, where they're claiming like they're in the thousands or whatever in the last like year or two or something like that, it's because they will sit there and they'll find within like a 5 to 6 block radius of a school like some random hood violence that happens at like 3 a.m. or like 2:30 in the morning or like 1:30 in the morning or sometime after midnight, whatever it is there. And of course, they're whether it be like midnight basketball stuff, whether it be like house parties and shit like that, or whatever these different events occur as what it is there, like blocks away from these schools. They'll consider that to be a school shooting. That's what it is. And it's all fudging the numbers. But in the day, it's the same exact thing with when you have like Jasmine Crockett and all these other Democrats coming out there and being like, like Ilhan Omar is another one too, by the way. They're all like, oh, white men are the biggest threat to America right now. but yet they refuse to actually admit how many different police precincts in this country right now are openly labeling, like, obviously dark-skinned black males and dark-skinned Latino males, for that matter, from, Mexico, Guatemala, El Salvador, etc. They're all illegal aliens, for that matter, in most cases. They're labeling them as white on these arrest records reports, is what it is. So yeah, of course, when you're labeling minorities as white people, you're gonna sit there and claim like, oh, white people are the fucking problem with everything, basically, and you're gonna bullshit is what it is there, which is all fucking lies, dude. It's complete lies, is what it is. So yeah, anyway, just ridiculous is what it is there. Okay, so let's see. So the guy had a boyfriend. Boyfriend is trans. This was the trailer picture we're talking about. It was the trans boyfriend guy that picked up the rifle, and it was all in their Discord, and the guy's cooperating, apparently. Interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, like I said, I'm not surprised by it, though. So, and that's the thing, and that's what pisses me off so much about all these leftists out there right now that are doing this crap and, like, saying all this bullshit about, oh, the guy's a registered Republican, all this other crap, like, even you have the AP in the past, like 12 hours or something like that, coming out and being like, no, like the guy was not a registered Republican. He was party on affiliate, but it is there. His family are registered Republicans, Trump supporters, and stuff like that. But even they came out because they're the ones that actually, handed this guy the FBI is what it is there. And they're like, yeah, this dude was the black sheep of the family. He went like hardcore leftist in the past 3 to 5 years is what it is there, since like 2020. Which makes logical sense given the fact the guy's 22, almost 23, I think is what it is. And it would, align perfectly with him basically getting out of high school, going into college, and then being indoctrinated into this fucking nut job leftist bullshit in college, what it is there, dude. Because I remember even, like, we'll talk about the story of mine even for that matter. I went down to Columbus back 2010 when I was 25 to go to school. And I'll tell you what, dude, even back then in 2015 or 2010, I could already see the leftism coming out in this country is what it is. And that was the height of Obama's administration at that point, like the very first couple of years is what it is there. And you could basically see like the whole leftist ideology going on back then. That was 15 years ago. And that was like the basically start of it all, is what in my opinion it was there, is what it is, which might have been even before that a little bit, but like that was where I first saw it, like all these professors being like very like lefty is what it is. Now granted, I was also a registered Democrat at that point, and I admit it before I'll admit it again right now. I voted for Obama, and I regret it to this day, honestly, especially the second time around. But then again, I was under the, like, my thing. If I could go back, honestly, to 2012, I would have definitely voted for Ron Paul for president, because he truly should have been president. That is what it is, and was the only good, like, pro-life libertarian at the time is what it is that was running. And of course, the mainstream media was blocking him out of anything, and like trying to basically control the narrative there is what it is. And that was obviously before social media was really a thing at that point, the way it is now, where you could do like podcasts and have your name be known and have people vote for you that way. So it would be like, I think honestly right now in 2025, like if you had a Ron Paul libertarian type of dude like that going around podcasts and stuff like that and getting like their name known for like a 2028 run or something like that, like, yeah, that dude would be a fucking shoe-in is what it is then. And that's actually why I thought I was libertarian for a little bit too, because I thought that was the Libertarian Party at that point was Ron Paul, but it turned out he was like the sort of side shifted version of it, where the main Libertarian Party was all about like baby killing and stuff like that. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not down for that, dude. You can fuck off on that shit. So that's exactly why I created the Internet Libertarian Party back in 2016 is what it was then, which is basically a mix of everything good of every other political party, basically, pro-Constitution, pro-2A, pro-life, etc. So, not granted, I really haven't done anything with that, unfortunately, in the past, almost 10 years now is what it is, but that's because, in most part, it's very hard to get a party off the ground as a single person is what it is there. So, but anyway. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not surprised by that one. I know that it was Who was it now? It was South Korea, I think. It's either South Korea or it was Taiwan, maybe. One of those two countries was literally, they had an American flag. They were putting up a pole there, and then they raised it to like half mast, basically, in honor of Charlie Kirk's death. And that's what I don't understand. Like, that's what that, I think that's the thing that pisses me off most about all these leftist people, too, for that matter, is like, they'll sit there and they'll espouse all this hate, and then they'll act like Charlie Kirk was not basically a modern day MLK, is what it is, at least for the right side of history, is what it is there. And even you have Martin Luther King Jr., I think it was daughter, coming out in the last day or so and being like, don't even try to compare Charlie Kirk to my daddy. My daddy was so much better than Charlie Kirk was. And it's like, woman, just zip your fucking lips at this point, honestly. Like, calm the fuck down, chill the fuck out, walk away for a minute, and realize that, yes, this man was a political influencer, is what it is. And of course, everybody else is saying, you know, yeah, Charlie Kirk was just a political influencer, he's just a podcaster, etc. there. And it's like, he was more than that, dude. He was a actual unifier. Because if you, like, I was watching a couple clips that people were putting out here in the last day or so. I'm not sure if they were straight from Turning Point USA or it was some other people that were just putting them out in general, as what it was, but it was this one where he was talking to this guy in the past, like, year or so. And it was, this dude was wearing, like, a weird shirt that had, like, the Nazi swastika on it with, like, an X out of it or whatever then. And he was basically talking to Charlie Kirk about, I'm trying to remember what he said now. I forget what the exact topic was they were debating, but you can find it up yourself. It is out there if you want to watch it. And it was him basically saying, hey, like this guy was trying to push, like, something, whatever the case be, and Charlie, like, you know, snapped back at him basically at that point, and, like, the comeback with, well, what about this thing, whatever the case be, and the guy's like, well, you know, I never thought about it like that. And I think he changed that guy's mind on that particular topic, is what it is, because that guy seemed like he was, like, legitimately, like, could have been, like, you know, like, sort of like a hardcore brainwashed indoctrinated liberal at that point. That's now like, hey, maybe I am, like, kind of like a fence-sitter towards the right now, is what it is. And that's what I'm saying, dude. Like, and that's what kind of pissed me off when I was talking to my sister yesterday, too, because she even kind of went on that whole trip of, like, well, why is Charlie Kirk being given an Air Force 2, you know, send-off, basically, and why is he being treated like he's a political, you know, icon or whatever the case being? It's like, because he fucking was, potentially. Like, seriously, like, if we went on a long enough timeline, like, I guarantee there's an alternate universe out there right now where Charlie Kirk is still alive, and in the next, like, 4 or 5 years in that universe, that dude's fucking president, or at least vice president at that point. So, and it's just crazy to me to think, like, these people just don't get that as what it is, dude. Like, that dude was taken at the prime of his life at 31 years old. Like, he could have easily been a U.S. senator in 2026. He could have been a fucking presidential candidate come, you know, 2028, 2032, whatever it be at that point, but, like, age, they'd have to get time, obviously, to be able to run. And, yeah, like, he had so much left to do. And it's just, like, what we're seeing, honestly, and it's so saddening, is you're just seeing the pure, visceral hate from the left at this point coming out. And what's kind of hilarious at the same time about it is, because of that, you're finally seeing these people get consequences for the first time in their lives, because most of them never experienced consequences at all. And now a bunch of them are getting fired over their stupid ass posts of this stuff, which it's funny to me because I was watching Blair White, I think it was Blair White's take on it yesterday. And so I thought there was something weird outside, or I mean, there's a fly in here someplace. But yeah, so anyway, so Blair White was obviously emotionally broken down because she knew Charlie Kirk was what it is there. And they were obviously good friends. And she was even bringing up, like, how many people had tweeted her now is what it is, or, like, had directly messaged her is what it is there. And it was just a lot of, like, this, like, she thought they were friends at that point. It was just, like, left-wing hate for both her and Charlie Kirk at that point is what it is then. And it's just sad and disgusting at the same time, dude. It really is. And the fact that you then have like all these other people who are espousing the same kind of bullshit, basically, and people don't understand that, yes, like there's this really fucked up situation there of like these people basically letting their hate be known. And specifically, I believe it was Blair White was bringing up the fact of, with Charlie Kirk, his quote, I believe it was at the time, was basically, hey, if you're going to post something, like, think twice about if that's going to be, you know, what ruins your life, basically, and maybe don't post it or whatever, because so many people have just done that, and now they're, like, out of a job, out of a position, out of, you know, whatever their livelihood was at that point, because they said something retarded is what it is there. And, yeah, it's basically, don't be a fucking retard is what it is, dude. But the fact of the matter is, what's really disgusting about the whole thing is that when you look at a lot of people who get fired for this stuff, it is teachers, college professors, a lot of educators for that matter in this country, a lot of indoctrinators for that matter in this country. I've been talking about for years now what it is. And then it's also firefighters I've heard have gotten fired for this stuff. You've had other first responders like EMTs and stuff like that that got shit canned for this whole thing. And then just like random everyday people is what it is there. And I think it was even like that's what one was. It was a Secret Service agent that was one of these people is what it is there. And it's like, yeah, how the fuck are you going to be a Secret Service agent and be making these disgusting mockeries of this man's death? Like, it's just fucking crazy what it is. But you see how leftist leaning these people are is what it is there. And they finally have let their hate boil over is what it is, dude. So it's honestly, it's kind of like a double-edged sword of like good versus bad, basically. Where, and that's another thing too. Yeah, there was at least one that was in the military. He was the captain, and it's like, yeah, why would you go into military, spend years of your life making these ranks, only to ruin the time span of seconds with some dumbass tweet or something? Is what it is there, dude. Like, it's just fucking dumb. Like, at least, like the thing is, if you're like, and this is the thing I think about the left is what it is, dude. Like, they're not smart. Like, I believe truthfully, like a lot of these people are essentially a hive mind. Like, they don't really have a full brain themselves, and so they basically come like this hive collective is what it is there, and like basically share a brain for the most part, because instead of actually thinking about it twice, they're just like, nope, let the hate flow through you, that kind of thing is what it is there, and they'll post this shit, and then they'll be like, what do you mean my 25-year career in the military is down the drain now or whatever? And it's like, yeah, because you're a fucking idiot, dude. That's the whole point. Like, you're just dumb. So, yeah, I don't know. It's just fucking stupid in general with these people. Like, I don't think they get it as what it is. And I think they're finally starting to get it as what it is in some cases. But even the ones that are, like, kind of grasping it, they're not really grasping it as what it is. They're still just morons as what it is, dude. And if nothing else, they've just doubled down and being like, well, this is some fucking bullshit. No, I should be able to blame this person for this kind of thing is what it is. And it's like, or you can just shut up, dude. Like, that would work too. Like, just shut the fuck up for a while and move on. Like, again, go outside, get some fresh air, experience the real world for once in your life. Because my understanding is that's a lot of things that this guy that was the shooter did not do. He was a Reddit kid. He was basically, you know, deep diving into Reddit every day of his life, thinking that people on the internet are his fucking buddies what it is there, where in reality it was just a bunch of idiots that didn't even give a fuck about what it is there. And that's the problem when you know, keep yourself whole up and stuff like that, and you don't have any experience in the real world. You don't understand, like, the good and the joy that you can actually have out there is what it is. And that's one reason why I definitely need to get a vehicle at some point here in the near future, so I can just go drive every so often is what it is then. And just, you know, see some sights in the area is what it is or whatever. So maybe just go to a park and, you know, smell some fresh air for a couple hours or something. But I am planning on getting out here in the next couple, I don't know, the next couple of days, or maybe like sometime next week. Hopefully I'll be able to go fishing again then before the end of the summer. That's what it is. But yeah, it'll be a good time. My plan right now is to buy whatever I can afford. If that's a van, if that's a SUV, it doesn't really matter. It's whatever I can afford that can actually, me, And the thing is, though, given how bad my leg is anymore, that would be the leg I would need to do gas pedal. I might have to do a situation where I have to have like a car refitted to be like disabled for the hands to be able to use the stuff instead. Because I know that with my knee the way it is anymore, my leg has numbed out every so often is what it is, and I really don't want to have that happen if I'm behind the wheels what it is or something and cause like an accident because my leg is just gone like essentially like numb from some reason or another, like whether it be diabetic issues or what it is. So, but yeah, like I said, it's just a matter of having the cash together and being able to have that as a thing, whatever. But the problem with that is too, as well, if I put that in my name, then I don't know how it's going to affect my disability and everything else like that, and because they'll be like, oh, well, you have an asset now or whatever, so it's like, now we're going to take some more out of you or whatever the case be. That's as I got paperwork yesterday from Job and Family Services saying my EBT amount is now going up from $160 a month to $167 a month, and it's like, thanks for the $7 increase, people, when you should be giving me at least $200 minimum anyway to begin with. Here's what it is. Like, it really is a fucking joke, dude. It's like, yeah, thanks for the Happy Meal worth of fucking extra food, basically. Like, thanks for the extra bag of chicken nuggets or whatever it be at that point. Then that's pretty much what that's going to cover, honestly, at this point. Actually, I guess technically the $7 it would be almost enough for one of the Motor City pizzas, what it is there, but. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't trust myself, is what it is, I think. Just because, well, it's not that I don't trust myself. I don't trust all the other people that are on the fucking road, is what it is. To not, like, crash into me is what it'd be then if something happens. So, but yeah, I definitely need to be more independent, is what it is there, just because. And honestly, going back to the whole Charlie Kirk thing, like, one of the most disgusting ones I've seen pop up recently, it was some piece of shit trying to make a video game. And it was, or no, it wasn't a video game, it was toys. And it was like 3D imaging, and they were basically like it was basically them sitting in a chair, turning their head to look like Charlie Kirk, basically. And then sell the shit as like memorabilia or something like that. It's just absolutely fucking sickening what these people do. That really is what it is. So, like, I'm just so sick of these fucking people, dude. Like, and that's what I don't understand. Like, any of these Republicans, like your Katie Britt types and stuff like that, are coming out and being like, no, we need to unify. It's like, bitch, are you fucking retarded? Like, I am never going to unify, and most of the other Americans out there for that matter are the same way. We are never going to unify. People want to kill us is what it is. And that's what the left wants to do. They want to kill us. They want to disarm us, and then they want to put a bullet in the back of our fucking heads is what it is, dude. They want to put us up against the wall and take us out. No, I'm not going to unify with these fucking people that want my debt, dude. From my political leanings, for the way that I am politically driven right now is what it is. It's just not going to happen. End of story. And I guarantee I speak for a lot of other people out there too, for that matter. Like, why would we want to be friends with people that want us dead is what it is, dude. I mean, hell, I remember talking to, I think it was Leo, not yesterday, but a couple days ago, on one of the chats. And he was even saying he was on, I think it was Facebook and a couple other social media sites, where he had, like, relatives and, like, friends and stuff that were basically, like, mocking Charlie Kirk's death. And he's like, you know what, we're not friends anymore. And I don't disagree with that, dude. Like, there's other people that have had that same thing, too, for that matter, this week, that are in the group ones for Honda's chat there is what it is. And it's like, yeah, just unfriend their asses, man. Like, there's no reason for them to be in your life at this point, honestly. Like, they're just a negative influence, basically, what it is there. You know, like, there's a reason why we got cut Ray out of our lives at that point, dude. Like, that dude was a fucking nut job completely. So, ironically enough, though, when Honda and him got into it that time on NEA's chat, that's like the one time I actually wanted to hear where that was going from Ray's ass. But then Honda cut him off and was like just sort of freaking out on him at that point then. So, and then of course it spiraled out of control from there is what it was. But yeah, I guess or Ray, whatever the fuck he wants to call himself now, is back to making videos because he made somebody sent me a video this morning of him talking about Charlie Kirk's death is what it is there and giving his old ceiling fan opinion again there is what it would be. Which thankfully I don't have a ceiling fan in this place is what it is. Although I would never do that because, you know, I would have you guys see my face and see the old 1776 ball cap. I really wish this wasn't made in China. But again, you know, most things from Walmart are what it is. But I am glad I bought one of these, though. Like, the main thing I don't like about this hat is these weird little fucking strippy things right here because they're all, like, glued on, basically. And it's when you go to, you know, touch it, what it is. Like, it's like a weird texture on your fingers to put your hat back on. Is what it'd be then. But yeah, the hat itself is pretty badass otherwise is what it is there. So, anyway. This was what they had on sale. I think it was back in June when I went over there or something. Because I was going to get a cool cowboy hat that was like American flag coloration, but then I was like, oh, they have this for the same price. And I was like, oh, I'll just grab this one. What it is then. So. Let's see. Let's go back to Twitter/X right now. So we got Sabrina Hernandez saying, this is how Grok has decided to generate the trending headline surrounding Charlie's murderer. Charlie Kirk's murderer held radical left-wing ideology, and leftist media is now trying to rewrite history and manipulate search engines to hide what they've done. And this is what Sabrina said here for the thing. It was today's news. Charlie Kirk fatally shot by fellow conservative at Utah University event. Jesus fucking Christ, dude. That's so fucked up. I was going to say, I forgot about Gizzard Gary existing because he's one of Guns and Barbecue's buddies. Let's see, we got Wall Street Apes, TikTok influencer, Salty Stella with 1.5 million viewers is making videos praising Charlie Kirk's assassination. She made a video that this was Charlie Kirk's karma and brought her child into the video. God, these people are sick, dude. Like, this is the kind of shit I'm talking about when I talk about, like, forced mental institutionalization of people, dude. Like, this kind of sick cunt right here is being a fucking nut house in a straitjacket someplace, dude. Like, for real. So, I don't have an official one. It's just the network's one. So it would be, what is our page called again? Yeah, it would be Real Open 61322. So it'll be right here is what it is. And of course we had to redo that obviously because Twitter completely nicked our other account last year is what it was for, I forget if it was myself or one of the other founding members was using the account and they called out some politicians what it was. And then they claimed that we were like promoting like political violence or some bullshit at the time, whatever the case, when we weren't. We were just simply calling out, I believe it was Asa Hutchinson, who was the ex-Arkansas governor, I want to say, for the mass murder he committed in 2020 is what it was there, of people, so. But yeah, it's just a sad situation all the way around is what it is. So, anyway. Let's go back to the updated X feed now is what it is. So we got ghouls. Good God. Like, dude, this fucking nose ring theory shit is, like, spot on. People are just insane is what it is, dude. Like, I swear to God, these septum piercings that some of these people get, man, it's like, you're just, like, drilling a hole through your brain fluid or something like that's what it is there. And it's just leaking out through that shit or something. So... Actually, this brings up a good question right here. Do state laws apply to federal agents? California legislature passes bill prohibiting law enforcement from wearing face masks to shield identities. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that federal trumps state every single case is what it is. Like, the only time it doesn't would be, I think you'd have to basically have an enactment where you are enacting, it's either the 9th or 10th Amendment, or both of them for that matter at the same time. And that's the only time we'd have, like, basically state like being able to like stand up for itself and be like, no, like we're gonna, do what we need to do. Basically, here is what it is. But in that case, like that, what Gavin Newsom and company have done there, which by the way, I want to point something out on that one. Pedophile Scott Wiener, who is a sitting state senator in California for like the last 7-10 years, something like that's what it is now. This is also the same fucking guy, by the way, who in the past, I believe 2 election cycles now in California, has openly passed legislation where you don't have to inform people that you're about to have sex with if you have fucking AIDS and like other STDs is what it is. So you can only give people the AIDS virus without their knowledge at that point. And then secondarily on that one, it was, I believe, last year or maybe 2023, something like that, is when this same sick-ass pedophile passed legislation to make it legal in California for gay men that were the age of 24 to be able to date 14-year-old boys. Because, again, he is a fucking child molester. So, yeah, the fact that Scott Wiener's not in federal prison right now is beyond me at this point, dude. Like, he's got to have dirt on a bunch of people for that matter, if that be the case then. Like, so he's got like his own Epstein file list, is what it is, or something like that going on there, not being like federal prison for that kind of shit then, dude. But, yeah, he's the same piece of shit that was like the primary or like main sponsor, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the legislation that they were talking about there with that California passed for the face mask thing of feds. So, anyway, but let's go ahead and move on from here. What it is. So you got this one from this Will Chamberlain guy saying, "What do you call hundreds of educators? I think he means indoctrinators losing their jobs for celebrating Charlie Kirk's death. I call it actual karma. It's karmic justice at that point. You are literally using your status as a so-called educator to spread joyous hatred or how much I say that? Yeah, you're trying to get enjoyment from your own hatred from this man's death. Like, it's just absolutely disgusting. You need to be fired. You need to be blackballed from education forever, what it is there. And the same thing goes to a lot of other people for that matter. If you were an EMT, if you were a doctor, if you were a lawyer, if you were a business executive, if you were a firefighter, you need to be blackballed from all these fucking positions forever, is what it is there, dude. Because you have no business being in that stuff as a first responder or anything else for that matter. Nurses are two for another one, or a big one as well right now. So, let's see what we got here. Left-wing UK MP Diane Abbott protests against the Unite the Kingdom rally where hundreds of thousands of British citizens are marching for their country. This stupid cunt, who is basically a congresswoman in her country there, claimed it's very important to stand up to fascism. We need to be in solidarity with asylum seekers. So what she's basically saying is you need to let Islamic terrorism take over your country. Seriously, how are these people not being arrested off the streets by the fucking cops of these countries, dude? Like, that's the problem right now, I think is what it is. Like, that's the problem here in America, too, for that matter. Like, if you have, like, a sitting congresswoman in this country doing that shit, dude, they need to be arrested for different racial scrub laws, what it is there, and literally be snatched off the fucking street by cops, what it is then. Be locked off in handcuffs. There would be a lot of hold officer again in this country, would it be then? So, let's see, we got Dave Rubin saying, I've been trying to be as reckless. Sorry, my mind is blanking on how to pronounce certain words right now. Reckless similatory. Yeah, no, I'm not pronouncing that right. I'm gonna look it up real quick because I need to know exactly. Like, I kind of know what it means, but I'm trying to think like how you pronounce it. I know it's siglatory. That's what it is. That's possible, but it's hard when the people who call us Nazis pretend that they had nothing to do with any of this. So I just want to read Chonk Uger's. So I just read Chonk's video titles about Charlie Kirk and Trump back to him. It went as well as you would expect. So that was from Piers Morgan with this piece of shit right here in the second. See this Chonk Uger, the piece of shit ass. Which, by the way, for those who don't know, Chonk Uger is a non-U.S. citizen. He is a foreign national. He is also the reason the AOC is in power at all, because he created a company called the Justice Democrats back in, I believe it was 2017 or early 2018. And it was him and those assholes, the Young Turks, that were funding AOC's entire political run. They did a casting call for a congresswoman, and she showed up, is what it was. I have no idea who this woman is, though. But, yeah, I guarantee that it was a dude was basically saying about how it's like, yeah, Chonk is a fucking moron, is what it is there. Yeah, back to that woman again. Let's see, then we got download. Oh, here it is. Breaking is being reported that Tyler Robinson was living with a transgender partner. Yep, it's not surprising, dude. Like I said, and that's the thing. Like, he usually, like, the one thing I will say about this guy, though, specifically the guy that is the assassin in the situation, like, look at this guy's eyes, man. Like, this dude has some weird, like, dead eyes going on there, is what it is. That smile is also kind of sus, too, for that matter. He kind of reminds me of, what do you call it now? Like a South Park character or something like that's what it is there. With the way his facial mannerisms are is what it is in that picture. So, this guy in the comment section said here, if you think it's okay to assassinate somebody because you disagree with them, that makes you a fascist, because that's what actual fascists do. Yep. The partner who was in the process of transitioning from male to female, law enforcement source confirmed. Let's see what's we got here now. Oh, just up there. Okay. Let's see. Charlie Kirk's alleged shooter, Tyler Robinson, was a transgender partner. This process of transitioning from male to female, law enforcement source confirmed in the Post on Saturday. The individual, who has yet to be identified by authorities, is now fully cooperating with FBI in its investigation into the fatal shooting. Conservative activist source said the relationship was first reported by Fox News. Oh, that's who that Brooke woman was earlier. She was reported by Brooke Sigmund. See text messages and other communications. The transgender individual traded with Robinson 22 helped the feds nab the accused assassin. Ah, interesting. Well, what's interesting to me is I've heard it for like the last day or so that it was actually the guy's family turned him in there. Is what it was, like his dad and like friends and shit. So maybe this is part of it. Then I don't know. Anyway, let's see. So federal and state authorities revealed during a Friday press conference that a quote roommate cooperating with their investigation revealed communications from a contact named Tyler that described bullet casings similar to those found at the scene and discussed the quote need to retrieve a rifle from the drop point. Charlie Kirk, 31, was struck in the neck by a single bullet shortly after being poised a question on his American Comeback College speaking tour about transgender mass shooters. Was, quote, do you know how many transgender Americans have been mass shooters in the past 10 years? Asked attendee Hunter Kozak. That's the guy I was talking about earlier that finally broke his silence, what it is, and claimed that there was 5,700 mass shootings or whatever in the past 13 years, whatever it is now. So Kirk, 31, was struck in the neck by a single bullet shortly after being posed a question. It said, yeah, okay, there we go. Just reiterated that apparently at the second thing that was there. So, but yeah, what's funny is that this guy's like claiming there was like 4 or 5 or whatever the case be, even though when you look into it, it's like 30 or something in the past like 5 years or some shit like that are either trans-identifying or they're like non-binary or something else for that matter, what it is there. Because even like the last couple right now, like specifically in the last, let's go ahead and say since like 2020 really is what it is. So it'd be like the past 5 years. It would be, yeah, because like I said, 10 years. Let's go with 5 years actually. So you got the guy who did the Antioch church shooting recently, claimed to be transgender. You have the Nashville one that claimed to be a trans man. You have, I'm trying to think now, so that's 2. You had the dude who shot up the nightclub, but was in Colorado Springs, was either trans or non-binary. And that was also, I believe, a gay nightclub, if I'm not mistaken, that he shot up. You have the kid who was trying to do a school shooting in, I think it was, I'm trying to remember what the state was now. I want to say Idaho, but it might have been one of the surrounding states to Idaho, like a Dakota or something maybe. And that one technically did not qualify as like an actual mass shooting because I believe they only ended up killing like one person and they got maybe like, it was like 2 shot or something in that situation. And the reason I bring it up specifically with numbers and stuff is because it used to be under the FBI statistics and stuff like that to qualify as a mass shooting. It had to be 4 or more dead, not including the shooter, where then it was the mainstream media and like Moms Demand Action and Bloomberg and people like that basically down it to they done it from 4 or more dead to 3 or more dead, and I believe that was including the shooter at that point, and then it was 3 or more wounded is what they basically are qualifying as like a mass shooting now is what it is. And it might even be like 2 or more wounded now if I'm not mistaken. They keep loading the bars what it is for what actually qualifies as mass shootings what it is in this country, which that's exactly how they make up like 5,700 was what it is then, dude. Because they just keep lowering the fucking standards what it is then of what they actually consider to be qualified as the thing. When most of them don't qualify as that thing under actual FBI like stats in the books for like 30-something years now, so it is. But anyway, so the whole point is though you had that particular kid in that school who, if you ever see that like collage of like the trans shooters, what it is there, he's in that's kind of looking up like all fucking like weird and shit because he's like in that toilet stall or whatever, and he got the gun there is what it was. And yeah, dude just looks like a fucking nut job in general. But yeah, that was at some school, and I forget what state it was offhand. So that would have been number 4 on that one then in the past 5 years. And then you would have had, I know there was some black dude who I think identified as trans that did some kind of shooting. I forget if it was a mall shooting or it was like some other kind of shooting then. So that'd be 5 right there in 5 years. And then you had, I don't really qualify this one as part of that, but if you want to go back like 6 years into 2019, then when the Dayton shooting happened here in Ohio, the guy who did that shooting, Connor Betts, was 100% Antifa affiliated, and it was his sister claimed that she was a trans man, then as she was actually one of the victims in that massacre is what it was. So I don't know. I don't think he was any kind of trans is what it is, but like I know there was like trans ideology in that family is what it is. So like that could technically kind of sort of qualify, but not really. And I know there's other ones out there too that I can't really think of offhand right now, but I know there's a bunch of them in Colorado too, if I'm not mistaken, that have happened in the past like 4 to 5 years now is what it is. And there's also several in California, if I'm not mistaken, too, that have happened in the past like half decade or so that will qualify as that thing. But I think one thing we need to talk about too, for that matter, is not only the whole transgender shooter thing is what it is there, it's how many attacks on Christianity are happening in the past 5 years or so in this country. Like whether it be from these people or whether it be from, you know, Islamic terrorism and stuff like that, etc. And that was even one I heard about today, or was it today? No, I think it was a couple days ago when I was on Honda's chat. And then it was talked about by, I think Vivek was the one that brought it up again today as what it was then, or in the last 12 hours or so or whatever, where it was some dude in Houston who was a father, I believe is what it is, was decapitated by some fucking nut job lunatic who was a illegal alien in this country yet again. And again, it's like shit that right there. It's like, dude, we are to the point right now in history where it's like, if these people that Biden and Kamala never brought into this, they've never been brought into this country by these assholes, so many Americans would still be alive right now is what it is. And it's just so sad is what it is on this situation. So, yeah, just absolutely disgusting is what it is. Okay, let's go ahead and go back to X then for a sec. Here's what it is. So yeah, you had somebody in the comment section here saying his father turned him in. There was no arrest or great FBI work. Now I question the entire article, being this U.S. article. Here's what it is. Yeah. I don't know. Like, I know that the other stuff is obviously legit, but like, yeah, them saying the FBI was the one that got him and stuff. Now he was basically handed to them on a silver platter, but is there. And I would even question Kash Patel being FBI director at this point, dude, because that guy is so fucking unqualified for that position right now is what it is. Like, truthfully, Dan Bongino would be a better director at this point instead of being deputy director, because at least Bongino was like ex-Secret Service or whatever for like years and years. That's what it is. Whereas Patel was just some fucking guy as far as I'm aware. That was basically blowing Trump at some point. But anyway. Huh. Let's go ahead and see this shit right here. This woman named Brianna Morello is claiming federal government cannot charge Charlie Kirk's murderer due to a legal loophole, according to Daily Mail, unless the murder took place on federal property, involved a federal official, or is classified as a hate crime based on race, religion, or protected category, none of which apply to Kirk's killing, which is not true at all, bitch. Not true at all. If this guy was 100% doing it because of trans stuff, that qualifies as a hate crime then, because Charlie Kirk was a Christian. So, yeah. Back we're getting real time this stuff. Not true at all. Coming out. Dude was dating a trans person. Charlie Kirk was a very well-known Christian. So there's your hate crime right there. The thing is, it doesn't, like, truth, it doesn't even matter if it's being charged federally or not, dude, because even Spencer Cox, the governor of Utah, when he was given the first presser, he's like, the state of Utah still has death penalty people. Like, this guy's going to get death penalty no matter what it is. So, yeah, it really doesn't matter, honestly. Like, people can sit there and what was I going to say? So I was trying to thought because I was looking at something else now. Yeah, like you can sit there and claim that or whatever the case be, but it doesn't matter if the guy's charged state or federal at that point. Like, he's going to get the fucking death penalty is what it is. So it's just a matter of time when it happens what it is then. But anyway, so you got right here, Libertarian 21 hours ago saying this logical fallacy is so retarded. Every conservative libertarian I know was raging over this story. Sorry, we were consistent. And then it was this moronic bitch saying their lives mattered too, but Republicans don't care. For those who don't know who this is, the blonde woman is Melissa Hortman. She was the legislator in Minnesota that was killed along with her husband there in that picture, and then their dog was also shot by the guy. Of course, the left keeps trying to claim that the guy was right-wing. That guy was not right-wing at all. He was 100% a Tim Walz appointee to some government position, what it is there. I'm pretty sure the guy was a merc, if I'm not mistaken. And what's interesting, if you look at the video footage that exists out there of the gunfight he had with cops, he was not even in Hortman's house at that time. And the cops were having a gunfire exchange with him, and he was basically like firing at them and then like kicking in her doors, what it is, and then killing her as the cops are like 15 feet away or something. That's what it is there. So yeah, if those police really wanted to save her life, they could have it what it is, dude, but they chose not to. And it makes logical sense because when you look at why Hortman would have been killed by the Democrat Party is what it is there. It's because as a sitting Democrat, there was some pieces of legislation that were being passed at that time in Minnesota. I believe one was to do with like trans stuff and like basically expanding like all kinds of trans craziness is what it is there. And essentially trying to make like hate crimes for like straight people what it is because they like would question trans people bullshit or whatever the case be. Like even just me being like, yeah, trans or nuts or whatever the case be, like saying that phrase or whatever, like that would basically get you like a jail sentence in Minnesota if that be the case. That legislation that passed, if I'm not mistaken. There was like something else too for that matter. I forget what that one was about. It was like two pieces of legislation basically that Hortman voted against, and there was some dude in their state senate that also voted against the stuff too. And it was their votes that would have been needed to basically pass this shit. And then it was within like 24 hours or so of that was when both those people were killed. That's what it was. So it's very, very suspicious in general. And the fact that nobody is ever really talking about the fact that, like, you know, this should happen basically. And it's all continued Democrat fucking, you know, fuckery basically. And that was actually one of the things my sister brought up when we were talking yesterday was about how it's like, well, why is Charlie Kirk being given like politicians treatment or whatever the case, but this Horton wasn't given the same treatment on Air Force Two is what it is, and that's like probably because she was a sitting state rep, and they could have easily asked for Air Force Two if they wanted to. I don't think they did, is what it was. So I don't know. I know she would have Kamala and fucking idiot Tim Walz in 2024, which I still don't like. I still understand about my sister. Like, I feel like I want to classify her as a moderate Democrat, but she's really not, dude. Like, she's a lot more in. Like, she's just not like political violent is what it is at this point, really. But like, she is. I think she just sees like she kind of sees the fallacy of the party is what it is, but like she'll still like. It's kind of like it almost falls like a JFK Democrat kind of mentality is what it is there, where it's like these people are evil, but you're still from anyway is what it is because you just like don't like the other side is what it is or something. And maybe it's the water in the city, maybe it's the fucking air in the major cities. There's what it is. I don't know, man, but like something's going on, and but the thing is like, and I know a lot of females are like that too. That's what it is. Like you'll tend to see more women that'll vote like Democrat. Even to their own detriment is what it is there, and it's like I don't know, it's just fucking nuts is what it is, and like I just can't wrap my head around it at 40 years old at this point, like why her at 42 is still like voting Democrat at this point, man. So but I don't think I'm ever going to change her mind on that one. She still has to wake up to it herself is what it is. Maybe this is going to be like all she needs to do is what it is, but I don't know. I don't know if anything ever will. I mean, I still love the woman, but like, there's only so much, man, that I can. Like, that's exactly when we talk. We kind of tend to avoid politics. It's usually like, hey, like, I just wanted to call and tell you this thing, or whatever the case be, and then we don't really talk after that's what it is then. So, but anything else really? It's like one specific topic, and that was the thing. Like having to live with her for like 6 months before I found this place, dude. Like, holy shit, man. Oh my god, like. There were a couple times we almost got into a fist fight down there in her apartment over some stuff, and then her boyfriend guy was just talking a lot of fucking nonsense in her ears what it was there, making her all emotional and stuff. So I don't know. It's fucking nuts is what it is. But yeah, I think she never like grieved her mother's death either. But then again, she never let me grieve her mother's death for that matter because she kicked me out of the house like that. Is what it was. So, yeah, it's like if I hadn't had to worry about that crap, I could have, actually had, a couple months to grieve my mom's passing is what it is there. Anyway. Let's see, what is this one right here? Haley Bateman. Nigeria regional counselor is triggered by people voicing sympathy for Charlie Kirk, claiming this is what he wanted. No, I'm pretty sure he just wanted to bring people to an actual debate stage and like have a civil discourse with them is what it is, lady. So, which honestly, I'm seriously. Hang on, let me. Is that better now? Hopefully it is. I don't know. I know Hana said that the other day it was like messing up or something. Yeah, it's like bumping out weird. I don't know what's going on there. Unless it's maybe the... I don't think it would go through my headphones is what it is, but it might just be it's so... Like there's no noise in this, so it's just catching the noise off my computer fan is what it is then or something. Yeah, I was just unplugging and plugging back in then. It might be too that I'm using a different cord than originally came with this toner mic is what it is. So no, that would be the fan from the actual laptop that I'm on right now. Let me reposition. See if that changes anything. But anyway, it's semantics at this point, honestly. But yeah, what I was going to say was I'm actually getting to the point in my life right now where I'm going to be for real with you guys at this point. I seriously contemplated suicide the other day, and this was before Charlie Kirk's murder is what it was. And I'm glad I didn't do anything. And it's really just the hurt that I have right now is what it is. And it's the loss of my mother and just, kind of aimlessly going through life right now is what it is. But I realized I still wanted to be here is what it was. And I realize now after Charlie Kirk's death that I don't know if it was his spirit kind of, coming down and sort of like, instilling in me something, or if it was God, or if it was my mom, or who it was, or if it was just spiritual energy for that matter. But I realize now, like, I think I know what my life's mission is going to be, and I want to take up the mantle that Kirk left behind is what it is to some aspects of things. And by that, I mean, I want to go out there and do debates with people. And if that gets me killed, that gets me killed. But I really want to have like actual civil discourse with people and, try to change people's minds is what it is. Like, as much as I hate a lot of these leftist people, like, I feel like some of them can be saved still is what it is. And I feel like it's up to all of us at this point to really do something. And like the ones that want to come to the table and have a debate, like, we should be having that debate with them is what it is. And if their opinion differs on ours, it doesn't matter. Like, we should still have a debate with them is what it is there. So I think in the next couple of months right now, my plan is going to be, I'm going to basically start looking into some stuff, figuring out if there is a college around here that I can basically do something on. And come next, probably springtime, it'll most likely happen after I move from here, is what it'll be then. I'm going to try to do something at one of these colleges, what it'll be then. And I don't know where exactly it'll be here in the state of Ohio. I think it'll be in this county is what it is. So it'll be here at some part of Stark County, so it'll probably be like Canton, Akron, someplace in there maybe. Or it might be a situation where I go down to Columbus for that matter and do one down there if that be the case. But I want to talk to some people about some stuff because I would like to have an actual true civil conversation with some people if they want to have one. And if I can change, somebody's mind or a couple people's minds, okay, cool. But I feel like now is the time that, it's time for people that be inspired and pick up this mantle is what it is. It's time for them to pick up the microphone that was dropped and have us have a conversation. And the thing is, like, obviously this is going to take some work to get it done, but like, as long as I can get the setup to go is what it would be, even if it's just me with a fucking tray table and a sign and like a little shitty, like, basically karaoke mic or whatever, then like, so be it. But like, that's what I basically want to start out as what it is there. But anyway, like, I just want to do something as what it is. And if nothing else, if I can get a hold of like some people, whatever the case be, that are going to do some of these events and maybe like, be like, hey, I'd like to come on there and potentially, give my opinion or something behind the table or something like that's what it is, and see if they'll be interested in doing that or not. But like, I feel like something needs to change, and I think this is why I was left on Earth, honestly, at 31 when I had colon cancer. Like, I've been trying to figure out for like 9 years, like, like, what is my purpose in life, basically. And I think maybe this is it right now. And unfortunately, it took the life of some other man to pass for me to basically get here as what it is now. But I do realize, like, I do want to live as what it is. And I don't want to go out like that, dude. Like, I don't want my life to be meaningless anymore. So I think now is the time to get things correct and basically just figure out the next steps I need to take right now to make this become reality is what it is. And if I can get it done sometime next, early spring, whatever the case be, it probably the earliest, my guess would be what would it be there is what it is. So it'd probably be, I would think, sometime probably either end of April of next year, or like early May, maybe, depending. Um, and it really depends, too, for that matter, of exactly how I can get this done. Nothing else, what I might do if I can't get it done in person and stuff like that, what I might actually do is I might just have open debates on this channel is what it is, and maybe just like the Rumble channel too, for that matter, where, because I know some of the stuff might get a little bit heated on here, don't want to have YouTube strike the channel is what it is there. So I might just do like Rumble exclusive debates with people, whatever the case be, and it's like open dialogue, like, hey, like, you want to come on and you want to have a conversation about like transgenderism, you want to have a conversation about gun rights, you want to have a conversation about abortion, all this other stuff like that. And basically be like, hey, like, we'll do this, we'll do it debate style, you'll have your chance to talk, I'll have my chance to talk, and so forth and so on. And then it might even be something too where I just have like a third party person, for that matter, like helping me out then, if that be the case. Maybe not doing it even on my channel, for that matter, but like have myself and then whoever else be on somebody else's channel and have that third person be like the debate moderator kind of person, whatever the case be, just so that they can be control of, like mic switches and stuff like that, so that, people talking over each other would be then or whatever. But yeah, like I definitely want to do something for sure. And I feel like now is the time to really start doing this more and more is what it is. Because the truth of the matter is, like, I feel like now is the time for the change to really come is what it is. And like I said, it's horrible this has to come because of Charlie Kirk being murdered the way he was. But the fact that it's sort of lifted, the stress, the depression, the burden off my shoulders now, and sort of brought me more to the light is what it is again. I think it's a good thing overall is what it is. And I think more people need to talk about mental health. And I believe that we definitely need to discuss more and have it be less stigmatized, that we should still be able to be gun owners even with depression. And, yes, there's going to be those sad days and there's going to be those bad days and there's going to be, those bad times. But like, as long as you have somebody to reach out to or like something to reach out to, like, you can get past what your temporary problems are, I believe is what it is. And I think in a lot of cases, I'm almost wondering too, if, for me personally, if it wasn't a situation where more recently, I know I was not, taking the vitamin D regularly like I needed to be. And I'm almost wondering if it was like leading to like a brain kind of imbalance of some vitamins I need in my system, what it is there. And it was leading more into the depression state of what it is, because I noticed it seems like in the past week or so, since I've taken those on a regular basis now, that it's almost like my brain chemistry is kind of back on the baseline, if you will, if that be the case. And like I said, I believe that Charlie Kirk's death was very much a wake-up call of, you need to be here, Adam. You need to be doing something to better this country. And if that means, picking up the mic, if that means having debates with people you don't like or maybe even hate for that matter, like that's what it means. But like I said, I think we need to start having a civil discourse in this country again, because if we don't have that civil discourse, we are fucked. We are going to be in a position right now where if something doesn't change, you are literally going to see this country go into civil war by next summer, I believe. And that is not good at all. And that's something I do not want to see happen. Because, like I've said before, I've sort of done my own like timeline trajectory stuff is what it is for the potentiality of some kind of civil war, some kind of civil unrest in this country. And everything that I personally have gone to on a timeline of events, it's not like it's going to be a week long. It's not like it's going to be a month long. It's not like it's going to be a year long. It's going to be like a 10-year fucking battle at that point, where it starts as a civil war of some kind and it just leads into other kind of stuff, racial wars, holy wars, all that stuff like that. And I just don't think that people are ready for that. I don't think anybody is mentally ready And a lot of people are not obviously physically ready for a decade-long war of attrition at that point. Like, I guarantee you, most people, they might be able to survive that first year, but after that, they're done, dude. Like, most of us out here probably wouldn't even survive like the first week or two, honestly, myself included. I might not even survive the first day for that matter, with how big I am and just being a giant target and bad knee and everything else like that. So it's like, that's exactly why I don't want this to happen. Is what it is. I'd rather have us be a civilized country that actually gives a shit and is actually legitimately unified as Americans that want prosperity for Americans, what it is, that want to help America out, not, send money overseas to all these other fucking foreign countries that have done nothing for us ever, is what it is. Just so you can have a bunch of Democrats and rhinos basically pocket the shit back in like donor funds and stuff later on, is what it is. So that's happens with a lot of that money that's on the bus bills. It basically is, supposedly sent overseas for, transgender studies or something like that in like Israel or whatever, or whatever it was, Iran or Iraq, whatever it was last time around or something like that. Or it was like border walls in the country of Jordan or something. But in reality, it just got funneled right back to various government agencies and then the Democrat donors and stuff like that. What it was then. So, but yeah, it's just disgusting what it is, dude. It's all just like I think the one thing we wanted to have a discussion about really is specifically it's time for not only term limits, it's time for age limits and health limits on political power in this country. If you are over the age of 65, if you are in serious bad health, like we're talking like cancers or dementia or anything like that is what it is, et cetera, or if you've been in power longer than a couple terms, like you're just gone. You're just done. And I think if those things are all in place right now, we would have a much better nation right now. And then if you hadn't obviously audited accused at that point from its qualification from office is what it is then, when you have these Democrats all this past week is what it is, just spewing all kinds of political rhetoric and stuff like that, and then falsely claiming like, oh, we don't have political violence or whatever the case be, even though they're the ones that have been ramping it up for like the past like 10 fucking years now in most cases. Like you can seriously go back to 2015, dude, when you got people being jumped that were wearing MAGA hats at the time. And I remember there was a very, like distinctly in my autistic mind right now is what it is. I remember very distinctively there was a woman back in 2015. But the reason I remember it was because I think it was like a Fox News clip. And then there was also like, it just went viral on the internet too, for that matter. And it was her walking around in a MAGA hat down a street or whatever the case be. And it's just this mob of leftist people that just like basically run her into a store like entrance area there, and they're starting to pelt her with eggs and stuff like that, and nobody's helping this poor woman. Like you just have this mob of like 20, 30 people just like chucking eggs at her ass for wearing a fucking MAGA hat. And then of course when you look at Blair White, who obviously is a transgender male to female, that individual, they were jumped in, I believe it was LA there was at one point, because they were wearing a MAGA hat and they were semi like leftist at that point. But then it was like as soon as that happened to them, they were just like, no, you know what, fuck these people, like I'm on the right now is what it is. And I think that's how a lot of people ended up in that situation, dude. Like there was so many events back in those days, like from like basically 2015 to like around 2018, I would say, between the battle for Berkeley and Charlottesville and everything like that's what it is there. Like it woke up so many people to just the terrorism of a lot of the left at this point. And when I say a lot of the left, I don't mean like 100% of the left or whatever the case be. What I'm talking about is like let's say like this is the entirety of the left right here. It would be like maybe like that much potentially. So it'd be like 10, 20% probably, maybe 30% at most, I would say. But then you have the other 70% of it, like not doing nothing to call it out as what it is there. Or even worse so, it's that other 70, 80 something percent, whatever it is there, that will sit there and be like, this wasn't us. It was totally the right, doing it to the right is what it is. It's like, no, dude, it was you guys doing it to us. Like, just take the fucking loss. Like, just admit that your side is the problem, and then we can all move on. Legitimately, seriously. Like, if these people took any accountability like that, and were like, hey, we know this was Democrat violence. This was not us specifically doing this. It was some nut over here doing this. Like, we do not condone that shit. Sorry. Like, if that's all I said, honestly, like, I'd be fucking fine with it, dude. I'd be like, okay, cool. Like, we can actually be, amicable at this point. We can be amicable Americans at that point. But that's the problem. You have so many people that don't want to do that stuff. They just want to sit there and push and push and push and push and push until it's literally at the stage of civil war, basically. And the problem is that I think they want the Civil War, but they don't realize what they're actually calling for is what it is, because once they call for that stuff, and then once they see that in action, they'd be shitting their fucking pants if it actually kicked off then, dude. Because you would literally unleash the thunder at that point. And I'm not talking about people like me that are just like regular everyday gunners that have a little bit of like, firearms training and stuff like that. I'm talking about like, there are so many fucking mercenaries out there right now that are ex-military of this country, dude, that have the skills to just like snipe these people from like 1,000 yards away like it's nothing, and also have the equipment to do so is what it is. Like, they wouldn't even see it coming at that point if it came to it, man. So, I'm not, just to be clear, I'm not saying that should be done, obviously. I'm saying that's what they're basically acting upon and wanting to, essentially incite at that point is what it is. And that's the problem right now with our country is what it is, dude. Like, you have this deal where we could be a better nation, but so many people are just so ideologically indoctrinated into just having their head up their own ass at this point, honestly, that they don't want to pull their head out of their ass and see the fucking actual sky is what it is. And that's the problem right now. And I don't know if you can actually change those people's minds, but like, there are some that like, they might just be bent over at this point, but their heads not actually up their ass at this point, honestly. And it's like, those are the ones that might be able to be like, arched back up and saved early is what it is. But yeah, like, something needs to be done, dude. Something needs to change. And I think, honestly, if anything, what Charlie Kirk's assassination did was it completely galvanized the right at this point, and it showed us, like, who the true enemy of this country is at this point. And a lot of these people that are the potential enemy is what it is, are finally getting the justice that they deserve because they mocked this man's murder, and now they're losing their jobs for it. Now, granted, that being said, one reason that is bad, obviously, is because then it could lead to something else now, because now you have these people that are these leftist kind of insane folks is what it is, that are like, oh, well, I got nothing left to lose now. Might as well just do something is what it is. And then they'll go out there and they'll commit, some kind of atrocity is what it is then. So, potentially doing that can now spark off like a lot more bad shit happening, basically. And again, I just want to reiterate, we at Ohio Patriot Education Network, we do not condone this stuff. I personally do not condone that stuff. I will condemn it to its fullest extent on either side for that matter. If you want to do things the correct way, you deal with these people the correct way. If they are doing stuff that is equivalent to what could be described as domestic terrorism, then charge them. Have the DOJ get off their fucking ass, have the FBI get off their fucking asses, and you take the technology we have on the hand right now, the facial recognition software, stuff like that, you find out who these people are, and you literally give them a fucking door knock, and you arrest them for the shit that they've already done right now, dude. Whether it be calling for political violence, whether it be, doing other stuff like that, that could be akin to domestic terrorism or what it is there, and you charge them as a terrorist. You slap them with federal terrorism charges, and you take them out of the everyday American pool and put them in prison where they belong, so that way that particular individual is no longer a threat to society is what it is then. And that is how we stop this shit from kicking off to begin with what it is then, is having federal agencies do their fucking job for once is what it is. So that's where we need to be at right now. We need to hold government to account at this point. We need to hold alphabet agencies to account and actually force them to do their job. as a government agency whose entire sole purpose is to deal with these kind of threats. And until we do that, nothing's ever going to change what it is. So, but yeah, like I said, I think there is probably 60 to 75% of these people that potentially could be, debated long enough to where they would have you would find common ground with them is what it is. The thing is, I think there's a lot of people who don't want to wait that long. I think there's a lot of people that just want to sit there and have the quick fix is what it is. It's oh, take the pill for this today. Oh, take the pill for that tomorrow, what it is kind of thing. Instead of no, sit there and put in the hard work and, build up the muscle and get fit and everything else like that. It's everybody just wants to take the weight loss pills now instead. So, but yeah, like I said, it all depends on exactly what I can do right now and how I can basically achieve potentially this goal I'm going to try to do next year, what it is there, if I can actually get that to go or not. I'm going to look into doing it. Again, I'm just one man. I got a lot of stuff going on right now is what it is. So unless somebody out there is able to help me with that stuff, we're all, myself and a couple others are always on X there, checking the network page. If you guys want to get a hold of us, DM us. That's the best way to do it right now. If you know me personally, you got my number, use that, call me up, whatever the case be, email me, whatever the case be. And we'll go from there basically. But yeah, if anybody can help me out with that stuff, if nothing else, helping me get, a college to be hey, we're cool with you coming and doing this basically. And at the same time, the one thing I will say about this is though, what I would need to basically get a hold of with these college administrators is I would need them to be able to be cool with me either having armed security with me or personally being armed at the time is what it is then, because there is no chance in hell that I'm stepping on these college campuses armed at this point, especially after what happened to Charlie Kirk. That's what it is, dude. There is absolutely no way that I'm going to be without some kind of weapon on me at that point, or having people around me that have weapons on them at that point is what it is, maybe even both for that matter. So that would be the one big caveat. And if I can't get that particular thing over that hurdle is what it is there, then I just wouldn't do it on a college campus. I would do it, adjacent someplace else is what it is. I would get maybe a permit or something like that to do it on the side of a street or something like that, if that be the case then. Or even just a local park or something maybe then. So, because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I want to say that a park here in the state of Ohio would not be a gun-free zone. So, and that may even be the better place to do it anyway, because then you have, you got people breathing in fresh air from the trees and stuff like that then too, instead of it being on a concrete jungle, hot ass sidewalk kind of deal is what it is there. So anyway, but yeah, like I said, it all depends. It really depends on what I can get done and what can be done and whatnot. So, but if nothing else, like I said, the backup plan will be hopefully in the next few months then just get people together and have an actual political debate about different topics, what it is there, and just start going from there, what it is then, and get more reach out there that way is what it is, and hopefully changing a couple minds that way is what it'll be then. So, but anyway, I will be back probably in about an hour, give or take. So it'll be about 5 o'clock, more or less, and we'll do a Slicey Boy Saturday stream then. I'll be doing a couple different knives today. Will be. I got to get some stuff together because I was starting to find the 2 neck knives I wanted to talk about today is what it is in that stream. I also got a couple other blades I want to talk about that are DC 53 steel is what it is, which apparently is better than D2 is what it is. So I'll set it up here in the next hour or so, and we'll be back around 5:15, something like that's what it is. I got some stuff I got to do before that. That's what it is. That's time sensitive. So other than that, that's about it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed the stream. Like I said, I don't know if it's some kind of weird algorithm switch that was done at Twitter/XHQ there, or if it was just some weird thing where it's me or one of the other guys in the network here responding to somebody on X there about something, and all of a sudden it just shifted our timeline to this weird leftist responses and stuff, because until you start blocking those people or whatever then out, it doesn't change your timeline back then is what it is. So it's very weird that it's, like I said, 30, 40 different people that I don't even subscribe to, or their account doesn't subscribe to theirs, what it is on that site, that were just suddenly in our, feed for no other reason. Like, just very, very weird in general. And I don't know what it would be, so. Huh. Actually, I think we'll leave off with this one right here is what it is. So you had this guy named, I think it was by King Randall 1, saying, because I didn't praise the death of Charlie Kirk, I've been called every name in the book, from bootlicker to racial slurs is what he says there. Said, but while they waste time with hate, our boys are learning. This is how we take our country back, not with excuses or victimhood, but with work and discipline. So this guy's basically teaching his, looks like sons, or maybe like neighborhood kids for that matter, how to build, not sure if that's a fire pit or what they're building as it is. Yeah, they're building some kind of a brick structure for sure. I'm not sure exactly what that would be. That's what it is. Maybe a pizza oven? Although it's pretty close to the road there, so maybe it's like a. Just trying to think what that would be now. Maybe it's like a brick mailbox? I don't know. It's weird. Yeah, if it wasn't so close to the road, I would say it was something else, but like, the being as close to the road is, I'm thinking maybe it's like a brick mailbox or something. I don't know. Either way, good for that guy, man. Like, and again, that's exactly what the black community is more of right there. Is what it is. It needs men that are going to be fathers to these kids. What it is. It needs good men that are actually going to give a shit about these kids, man, and raise better men in the future. Raise generations of men is what it is. So, anyway, and then yeah, of course you got. Actually, I think we'll leave off with this one instead right now. These are people that need to be removed from office in handcuffs right now is what it is, dude. And it needs to start with that piece of shit Jasmine Crockett right now. This bitch is not going to be reelected into office next year. Her ass needs to be gone right now. Perhaps the most brazen call for violence is yet again directly involving Jasmine Crockett. There are troves of segments that mirror this. She appeared on MSNBC, and this exemplifies what Democrats are standing for. Crockett saying, and I quote, "This is a war. This isn't a battle." MSNBC host, "Everybody needs to pick up a weapon and get involved." Says everything about who the Democrats really are. They have no regard or respect for oppositional opinions. They only want to squash and silence dissent. And by the way, I want to point something out too. While the MSNBC host was saying that shit, after Crockett said that, okay, so this is the idiot Crockett saying about the war not battle. And then this is the black fucking host of MSNBC saying everybody needs to pick up a weapon and get involved. And just look at Crockett's face right here, where she's just like, nodding along. Yep, everybody needs to pick up a weapon there. Like, the fact that this bitch is still sitting in Congress right now is exactly what's wrong with this country currently, is what it is, dude. Jasmine Crockett needs to be in federal fucking prison right now for that shit. For inciting violence against Americans in this country. Not only the fact that she's being in federal prison for that stuff, she should have been in federal prison back in like May or June when she literally called for direct violence of smacking white people with chairs and stuff, dude. She is a black supremacist. She is a divisionist. She is a fucking racist. She is a piece of fucking shit in general. And she needs to be in fucking jail right now is what it is, dude. She needs to be in a federal prison cell for the rest of her worthless ass fucking life is what it is. End of story. Enough is enough of this shit. It's time to kick these fucking people the fuck out of office for good and get rid of their fucking asses. Put them away in the jails and in the prisons where they fucking belong. End of story. And it's as simple as that, literally. Have a good one, y'all. Stay safe, stay vigilant. Always be carrying. Always know your exits. Always know your surroundings. Always be situationally aware. And make sure that you're not the victim. I'll be back in about an hour and a half, give or take, with the next stream is what it is. Till later. Peace out.